good evening, everybody. I'm sure the word is spreading. We have relieved Coach Stoops his duties as head football coach at the University of Arizona. We've named Tim Kish as the interim coach for the rest of the season. And at this point, I'd like to have Dr. Sander, our president of the university, come up and address everybody, and I just want to thank him for all of his support.
Well, thank you, Greg. First of all, let me say that decisions like this are never easy to make. There's always a great deal of heartache that goes along with these things. However, I do believe that on behalf of the University of Arizona football, that this decision is absolutely necessary at this time. Actually, I'd like to congratulate Greg for his decisiveness in making this decision. I think it will benefit our student athletes. It will give them an opportunity to prepare for the rest of the season under Coach Kish, and hopefully this will get beyond the situation where we are continually speculating about the future of Coach Stoops. So again, while I regret that we've had to take this action, I think it was absolutely a necessary thing to do. I should tell you that I've consulted with the Arizona Board of Regents, and Chairman Fred Duvall is fully in agreement with this decision. So thank you again for being with us this evening.
Dr. Sander will be available for questions as well. Coach Stoops did a lot of great things for the program and took over a very challenging situation and made us better. And I think as an Arizona football fan and or fan of our university athletics program, I think we certainly want to thank him for all of his efforts and staff efforts and appreciate everything that he's done for us. I was concerned about the direction of the program and where we were going, and felt that needed to be addressed. Needed to be addressed in the short term for our 22 seniors, and we believe they can play in a bowl game this year. We've got a lot of work to do to make that happen, and we want to give them every opportunity to do that. And at the same time, too, this will give us a full chance to begin a process for our next football coach at the University of Arizona. We'll begin that process immediately. There will be a very small group of us involved with us, just three or four of us, and it will be something that we will be exhaustive in all of our research to find the best fit and the best person. After today, I won't speak anymore about our search until we have a new coach. And so, in today's world with instant information, a lot of times there's information that's inaccurate that gets out there, and sometimes it's accurate. But I want you to know, unless you're hearing from us and you're hearing from me, that'll be the only accurate information I hope you can count on. And so we'll take this responsibility very seriously, and we do anticipate having this done sometime after the regular season is over. At this point, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Dr. Sander would be happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Greg, at what point did you decide in your mind that it was time for a change?
Well, since I've been here, we've been evaluating the football program as a whole, just like we have our entire athletics program. And as I evaluated the program, I looked to see where we were and sought counsel from our executive team, our staff. It was in the last week that decided it was time to go in a different direction.
When did you tell Mike?
I told Mike this afternoon.
His reaction?
Mike was first class, and I like Mike a lot, and Mike and I get along very well. And like I said earlier, he's done so many good things for the program. So it was not an easy decision whatsoever.
How were the players told, and what can you tell from their reaction?
Just met with them right before we met with you all, and probably very typical. Anytime you're dealing with the 85 scholarships and a roster of almost 100 kids, you're going to have a variety of feelings, and they did a lot of listening though, and that was the extent of it today. And I reminded them to go to class and to represent themselves right, and that talk to their position coaches to make sure that they're doing exactly what Coach Kish and his staff want them to do.
What are the advantages of doing this now instead of 6 weeks ago?
Well, I think there were two main advantages. One is for our team, we felt we needed a fresh start at this point in the season. And we want them to have some fun playing football. We want our coaches games that we feel we have a good chance to go out and compete in. And then the second thing is that it gives us a head start on the process of finding our new football coaches. And I believe strongly that you are, when you have an existing head coach, you need to be committed to that coach until they're not your coach anymore. And so at this point, we decided this was an opportunity for us to start moving forward with that in the future.
Can you talk about the decision to make Coach the interim?
He, longest stability with our staff, or again, the longest tenure with our staff, Coach Newsom, I believe, been with him every step of the way. And that made sense for a lot of aspects. From obviously, you look at Coach Kish, he's a good man, he cares about kids. He has strong integrity. He very much is involved in everything we're doing from a recruiting standpoint, everything we're doing from a coaching standpoint, terminology across the board. And we felt he would give us the best stability for the remainder of the season.
Will the rest of the staff stay the same?
Yes, the rest of the staff will stay the same.
How much will the buyout be to officially part ways with Coach?
Well, approximately about $1.4 million. And we haven't ironed out all the details of time frames or anything like that, but we will.
Would you look for a new candidate than maybe Coach Stoops didn't have?
Well, I don't think it's what Coach Stoops didn't have. I think what we want to have for our next head coach is we want to have passion for college football, passion for the student athlete and caring about them academically, athletically, socially, for them to have a great experience. And we need somebody that's very sound fundamentally from a coaching standpoint. I know you'll hear through this that you got to hire a head coach, or you got to hire somebody from this program or that program. And I hope people can understand as you go through this process, there's a lot of information that we're going to have that the general public just won't have access to. And what I promised the Arizona fan base, I promised to Dr. Sander, is that we are going to go hire the best football coach that we possibly can, that wants to be in Arizona, and it's going to fit the model that we want going forward, and that's to make sure we're paying attention to those foundation items that I just mentioned.
Greg, do you have a preference, offensive minded guy, defensive minded guy?
I have a preference for a very good football coach.
What role did raising money for the North End Zone project have in this? Any?
None.
No.
Who else will be on that very small search committee?
We'll have, from our executive team, we'll have Rocky LaRose, we'll have James Francis and John Parent, all directly involved in a couple. Susie Mason and Scott Schaefer will be involved as well. In the interview process that will be just a few years.
Do you believe in bringing in an outside firm to help you?
At this point, we have not hired an outside firm.
Is it possible you could hire someone before the season is over?
It's possible, but I'm not as concerned about time frames as I am. I think from an integrity standpoint, it's important not to interrupt the sitting head coach's season and what they're doing. And so I think what this does is this gives us an opportunity to do a lot of legwork, a lot of research in the time frame until the regular season gets done.
So many people in the public made an issue of Mike's sideline injury. Was that a public relations hindrance to you guys?
Well, Mike had extreme passion. There was no doubt about that. And he and I would talk on a regular basis about good things that are going on with our program and things I thought we needed to improve on. And that would sometimes fit in that conversation.
Did that factor in at all to your final decision?
I think we looked at everything collectively across the board.
Greg, this isn't the first time you've had to go out and hire a football coach. You did the same thing down in Mississippi State. Kind of extrapolate on the lessons that you learned down there and what you can expect out of this process.
Well, I feel like I mentioned earlier, you have to keep it close to the vest. And that's critical, because what will happen, I know this is shocking to know, but occasionally an agent may try to spread a rumor. Or a coach somewhere trying to get their name out there. And maybe they're trying to use one against the other. And so we don't need, if they want to do that, that's fine. We don't want them to do that on behalf of at University of Arizona's expense. And that may happen at some point, but keeping the information confidential is critical. The other thing is, as much as people are going to want to have an answer, say, you know, why, it's 2 days later, why don't you have a coach? you need to make sure that we're comfortable with who our next coach will be, from all those areas I talked about, you know, academically, athletically, socially, and that they're very good from a coaching standpoint, that they make sense for our region of the country. I don't think the head coach necessarily has to be from the region, but if they're not, what staff are they putting together that make sure they can go out and recruit and stay active and engaged in our area? I want the best players in Arizona to want to come to Arizona. So maybe having a connection there somehow is a good thing. And so there's a lot of different things, and not any one person fits all those things. You need to go out and find what is the best fit with the pool of candidates that you have to work with.
Is this now your top priority department-wide?
I thought we might pay some attention to it.
Greg, this was a football program that a year ago was top 25. It's been to 3 straight bowl games. Is it safe to say that the obstacles that you found when you evaluated this were longer term than they were short term? There's injury schedule. I mean, what pretty dramatic fall from a year ago.
Well, the last 11 games have been a rough road. There's no doubt about that, and against a very good competition. And so we've had injuries. There's no doubt about all those things. They've all been factors, and that's when I said we looked at collectively a lot of different things. That was part of it. And you know, we very much have tried to support those students and show. I don't think you've ever heard me say publicly anything negative about it. I don't think you do that to your head coaches. So it's something that we looked. I saw there were many positives that he has done, and at the same time too, this season I've gotten to the point where I was very concerned about a long-term impact of our program and where we were going.
You said you made the decision within the last week. Was your mind more or less made up prior to Oregon State, or was that kind of the final straw?
It would, again, all collectively put together, and in the last week was the time frame where I just really thought, okay, I'm concerned about the rest of the season, and I'm concerned about where we're going in the future.
Greg, how important is it, the concept in sports, that every leader has to have his own people, and in this respect, you need your own rep?
I think you do everything you can to work with the people that you inherit when you come someplace. I chose to come to the University of Arizona, and I was lucky to get chosen to do that. But I know these people, and a lot of them are standing in the back of the room. They bust their tail every single day. I think it's key when you come in the athletic director's role to give the people that you're working with a chance. And I'm really glad I did, because we've got a lot of great people. And so I don't think that's as important as what sometimes people say out there. It's nice to have a person, a familiar face or two when you come in, but it's not critical.
When this last happened, the then athletic director, Jim Linegood, mandated that all scholarships already offered to student athletes were honored. Do you share that philosophy, or do you let the new coach kind of make his own decision?
Well, that's my preference, yes, and I think that's where we're headed. And I will. I've already been in Bill Morgan's, our finance director's office, and I've already found out how I can contact the recruits legally, what we can do, and I will be involved in the recruiting process until we name our new head coach.
Greg, was Mike supposed to be on the road today recruiting?
He was.
Was he here, or?
He was here.
He was here. So you had asked him to not take that trip?
No. He was on the road and came back.
No.
Yeah.
When did you ask him to come back?
Late morning, I think, something like
Oh,
that.
wow. Okay, so you can ask that.
Yeah.
Are any of the assistants on multi-year contract?
No. They all have contracts till the end of June.
Is there a,
JP, that's right, yeah.
is there a salary range for the next kid?
I'm thinking about paying at least $25,000. We need to be competitive. That's critical. And it's the marketplace, whether you like it or not. You gotta be competitive.
Does this allow you, by making the decision, to have more time to raise that money?
You know, I'm not a big believer in raising dollars for coaches' salaries. I'm a big believer in raising dollars for capital improvements that will have many year impact on the program. And so we're not out actively engaged in it for that matter. So I think sometimes people kind of assume that's how all these things happen. I'm not sure if that assumption is always correct.
What's the ideal timeline for you to have this
Well, we want to make sure we have somebody by next football season. So ideal timeline, I think, shortly, a couple of weeks after the regular season's over. At that point, you see transition take place during that couple week period on a normal basis.
If Coach Kish can get this team to a bowl game, 500 records, whatever, would he be considered one?
Well, we're going to be wide open to any candidates, but Coach Kish is aware that he's the interim coach.
What is the protocol if you wanted to contact, say, another head coach, another assistant coach? How do you do that during the season? What's the proper way to do that?
Well, when you're ready to talk to another coach, you contact Red Bull and do that the right way. Get it all done? Okay, appreciate everybody being out.
Didn't you play football with Minnesota?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's an old player. He gets it. Yeah.
Just long enough to get hurt and discover I had to do something. Use my head as a coach.
That's right. That's right.
Did it make it harder having the president?
He's hit the ground running, and he's the president and very much is acted like that.
Arizona beats Arkansas State. Does anything change?
Hard to make. This is where we are today.
The fact that he was not a great communicator, that hindered him.
I think communication is key in anything you do, and what you all do, you better communicate to your readers and listeners and viewers. And if you notice, we're trying to communicate on a regular basis. I think it's critical. And again, at the same time, every coach, every person has their strengths and their weaknesses, and maybe you're a little weaker in one area. That doesn't mean another area you can't make it up for.
Is this something you tried to address with Mike, though, communicating better?
We talked about a lot of things. He and I would talk at least once a week as far as sitting down in his office during the season. A lot of times I'd go and see him on Sunday.
I'm sorry, over the weekend, it was almost clear by his words that he knew that there was trouble somehow. Did you get a sense of that today when you said, okay, this is over?
Well, he handled himself with a lot of class and dignity today.
How much of a role does public perception play in hiring a final?
I think you obviously have to get people in your stadium. That's critical. You have to pay for everything, and you have to have fan support for your teams. At the same time, too, there's a lot of times where you say, you know what, we're going to be okay, and we need to stay patient through this time. And I think you just need to evaluate each case individually and decide where you are, and then make your best decision that you can at whatever point that is.
You certainly weren't here for his whole tenure, but can
Correct.
you kind of comment on what you think he did well over 8 years?
I think he took over a very challenging situation, and I think he got a recommitment and a dramatic improvement from a football perspective. He made us better. From an academic standpoint, our graduation rates have improved, and from a social standpoint, anytime you're dealing with 100 kids, you're going to have an issue or two. But I've been very pleased with where he's been there. He and I have never butted heads from a compliance or an academic standpoint. And at the same time, too, if you're going to keep score, you might as well try to win. And you got it. And that's a factor of being a coach.
Were the players surprised?
You know, it's hard to tell. They're 18 to 22 years old, and now that my boys are getting a little bit older, Nicholas and Davis, sometimes you never quite know what to expect as far as a reaction. And so I think it was a pretty typical response. Just some nodding heads up and down, some concern. It was a mixture.
Had you met with him before?
No, I don't. Philosophically, I don't believe that you. I'll meet with the team as a group, but any conversations I ever have with a student athlete, the head coach is going to know about it.
Is there anything you lean towards, previous head coaching experience or anything like that?
I think you need to find the best coach, period. And I think the model where schools have hired sitting head coaches has worked great at times, other times hasn't worked very well. I think the model of hiring assistant coaches has worked great at times and hasn't worked great. And so I don't think you can box yourself in on that whatsoever. You need to understand where you are, in the marketplace where it is this year. Each year is different, and so we just need to pay attention to those details and make the best decision based off of what's available out there.
Is it a kind of a truism that every AD has a list of guys that they'd call right away when something like this happens?
You want to always have some thought processes, sure. Absolutely.
Chris Peterson's name's already been thrown around. Is that a candidate that could possibly be part of your search?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about individual candidates.
You guys have a history, or you know each other?
Oh yeah. All right. Everybody still awake? Okay.
Are you going underground now for the next?
Actually, because of the time frames, you'll see me move around. But we won't be. I may send out a tweet. That might be.
You might?
I might. We'll see. I'll give away a T-shirt, sell them in a moment.
Well, you're still doing radio.
No. Sorry.
Did Mike talk to the team when you were in?
He did not, but he will.
Probably this
No.
in the coming week or probably or in a
Oh yeah.
couple days.
Yeah. The next couple days, I'm sure.
Is Kitch still the defensive coordinator?
Yes. Yes, he is. Yeah.
What was his reaction to you when you asked if this was something you wanted to do? Kitch.
Oh, he jumped right on it.
Yeah. How do you anticipate him changing some of the things?
I think he'll create a culture of calmness, which is probably a good thing for us. And he's the leader of our defense, and we've had some good defenses with him on staff. And so we have to just make sure we recapture some of that for the remainder of the year.
He told us on Saturday that somebody has to be the positive one.
Correct.
Was his positivity one of the reasons he got this job?
I certainly think that helped.
Was there any thought to changing coordinators or assistant coaches?
So you never asked Mike to fire an assistant?
No, again, philosophically, I believe that you let your head coach hire and fire their staff. And my responsibility as the director of athletics is to evaluate the coaches, evaluate the head coaches in a lot of different aspects. It's not just, I mean, obviously wins and losses are important. We all know that's true, but there's a lot of different aspects that you evaluate.
How do you convince the fan base to not live in the white flag on this season?
Not at all. We need them. We just sent out a Wildcat Wednesday special Monday edition, and we told them we need them there at UCLA. We need them to support this team. Doesn't matter who the head coach is. We need our fans there. We got a passionate fan base, and we need them here right now.
How'd you catch Stoops? Was that a worry that less and less people will get games?
Again, we evaluate a lot of different things.
What's your challenge in terms of you're going to have assistant coaches now who may be distracted, maybe looking for their own future? What do you tell them? How do you keep them focused?
Well, I've talked to all of them already today, and I'm going to continue to tell them they have a job and task at hand, and I like our staff. I really do. And so I feel good about who they are, and I think they'll stay focused on what they're supposed to. And I understand too, they'll be looking a little bit, but at the same time, I feel like they're going to be focused on the task at hand.
Greg, could this move have been possible without a new Pac-10 media contract kicking in next year?
Pac-12
Pac-12
helps.
right, yeah.
I don't know. I know where we have ahead of us, and I know what our forecasts are, and we did it with the information as of today.
Does that open up the market a little bit for you? That new TV money?
Well, in some ways, yes. Yeah, it absolutely. It gives us the best chance to be competitive from a market standpoint. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.